What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. All my social media is in my description box. Look, this is RuPaul's Drag Race Season 11, Episode 10. Yes, I'm late. I was out of town this weekend, and I was going to try to get this review up, but honey, I was just too busy. I was at my college reunion, and it was just one thing after another, and when I was in my room, honey, I was asleep. I watched this on Friday night in the hotel room and fell asleep on it. Not because it was boring, just because I was sleepy. I was tired as hell. So anyway, I had to rewatch it. So here we go. So the episode, of course, y'all know we got to start off with the person who was voted off. So everybody's kind of shook that Plastique is gone. Vanjie is still feeling some kind of way. She just doesn't. She can't figure out what it is the judges are telling her. And basically what the judges are telling her is she keeps playing this. She keeps, whenever there's a challenge, she reverts to what she's comfortable with, which is Vanjie. Now, Vanjie personality is funny. She's a funny person, great personality. Everybody loves her. The problem is that's what we always get. And she just can't quite figure out how to get out of that. You know, she can't quite figure out how to do something other than Vanjie. Something else went down. Oh, Nina West was feeling some kind of way because she felt like Brooklyn was kind of taking the credit for everything and not really giving her any shine. And she said, you know, I made some sacrifices that maybe I shouldn't have made. Yeah, you're right. You shouldn't have. At the end of the day, it is a competition. And I get it that you want to help. I get it that you want to, you know, share your experience and all of that. But at the end of the day, it is a competition. And Brooklyn has been very clear about what she's here to do. So, you know, hopefully, Nina, you know, you're a nice person, but don't let your niceness get yourself caught up in some other stuff. So the mini challenge this week, the mini challenge was it was silly. They had balls and they were working with the pit crew, and then they had to the fastest person to get the balls in the little container would win. And of course, you know, it was cute, whatever, you know, they had them putting the balls in, you know, different places, and there was a whole lot of puns and stuff about balls. Delta Work made an appearance and so forth. And of course, Silky had to be extra. Everybody else was working it out. Silky had to pick up her pit crew and carry him. So, you know, Silky being Silky, honey. Silky being Silky. So, we get to, the winner was Vanjie. And the maxi challenges, they have to do a magic show. And they got to pick their teams. Now, Vanjie, you messed up. You messed up with your teams. She picks Silky, Akira, and Evie. The other team by default was Nina, Sugar, and Brooklyn. I would have picked Nina. I probably would have left Evie on the other team, and I would have picked Nina. Now, I know they got this whole dream girl thing going on with her, Silky, and Akira. So, okay, you picked your two friends. But, and I'm not surprised that she didn't pick Brooklyn, because I think she's still a little salty that Brooklyn ain't pick her on the challenge where Brooklyn got a chance to choose. So I think that was I think that was sort of some get back, to be perfectly honest about the matter. But I wasn't mad about her not picking Brooklyn, because Brooklyn hasn't been strong in these types of challenges. Just because she did well last week doesn't mean it's going to continue. So I kind of understood why she didn't do Brooklyn. But I would have picked Nina, because Nina does this. You know, Nina writes shows, and you know she's good. Like, she's been good week after week. Definitely Silky, because you know Silky gonna act a fool. So, anyway, they had to put together a magic show. So they were shown how to do different magic tricks. Now, on the team, they called themselves Black Girl Magic, which was, you know, Vanjie's team. They were struggling with, do we do this impromptu, or do we have jokes? Do we write these jokes out, or do we kind of go and let it flow? Well, of course, the majority of the team was like, well, I think we should just keep it loose and just kind of keep it flowy. Whereas Evie was like, I think we need to be a little more structured. I think we need to be a little more structured. I think we need to be a little more structured. So when they went to go practice, and they were being taught the magic tricks, what they found out was that they had to create a kid-friendly show, and a lot of their jokes were very raunchy, very, you know, after 9 o'clock at the drag show type jokes. And that's what they're used to doing, you know, because that's what they do. So when they realized they had to sort of kind of come back and revamp, then they did sort of create more of a structured setting, I feel like. But again, it still wasn't as tight as it probably could have been. So the other team, the other side, I'm sorry, y'all. Maybe I'm still tired. Ooh. And in true Rue fashion, when she comes into the workroom, she stirs the pot because she asked Brooklyn straight up, "So why do you think Vanjie didn't pick you for your team?" And you could tell Brooklyn was sort of kind of stumbling around for words, but basically she said, "Look, it's a competition, and I expect her to do what's best for her. What's in her best interest, what she feels like is gonna work for her to win." And of course, she asked Vanjie the same thing, and Vanjie said, I'm not gonna put my man in my group. Like, we need to keep this separate. And Vanjie said in her confessional, "Look, Brooklyn is doing good. I need to worry about me, and I need to pick who I feel like is gonna be the best team for me to win." So we see them go through the practice and everything, and they don't really give us a whole lot when they're practicing. They really try to give you breadcrumbs to make you think something different, so you think one team is doing well or not doing well or whatever. But they get through it. And again, you see Evie is really concerned about them not being as structured as they should be. So they do their performance. The first group goes, and it's Nina Nina Sugar, and Brooklyn group goes first. And to be perfectly honest with you, they were the better team. I was sitting here, and I've never been a fan of magic. That ain't never been my thing. I don't like magic shows. I don't think that's not my thing. But it was a really great show. They really flowed really well. They had a good banter, and of course, Nina, as per usual, Nina, she shone. She not took over, but in a good way. She definitely kept it flowing. She definitely, had the references and everything. And so it was a really, really good show. The other team, they had a great concept, the whole black girl magic thing, but it just did not flow as well. I mean, the magic tricks were cool and everything, but their act just didn't flow as well. So it was really clear which team was the better team. Now, and to be honest with you, at the end, I was worried. Before we got to the runway and everything, I was really worried because I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, they're going to be in the bottom team, and is Rue going to make two of them lip sync against each other? Because, those are my favorites, like, on that side. I shouldn't say that, because I like Nina, too. Anyway, whatever. But I was like, oh, man, I was a little worried. So, the runway category was caftan, okay? And I personally, I loved most of the looks. I did. I think, who do we have first? Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. So first we had Miss Silky come out, and this was actually one of my favorite looks from Silky all season. I love the caftan. I love how she had her hair going up. I love the colors. I like everything worked for me in this particular outfit that she had. This look, everything worked for me. I really, really loved it. Evie came out. Her caftan was pretty. It had like it was yellow and flowy, and it had like holes in it. Of course, Evie's gonna always give you something a little quirky and a little different. But I thought her caftan was really beautiful. Akira came out, but Akira did not come out in a caftan. Akira came out in a bodysuit. It was pretty. It had wings on it like a butterfly when she opened up her arms, but that was a bodysuit. I don't know. She said when she Googled caftans, those were some examples that she saw. I don't know how. I don't know how. Next was Vanjie. Her caftan was really pretty as well. My only problem with Vanjie's caftan was that she had no breast. And I know that not all queens do breasts, but I feel like that was an outfit that needed some cleavage, that needed something. The way it was cut, I just think it was. But it was pretty. I really did like it. Brooklyn had this really pretty violet caftan. I thought it was really pretty. I thought it was, I thought it was very flowy. And she had like a gold bodysuit underneath it. It was pretty. Was it Sugar Cane? Yeah. Sugar Cane came out in this, again, I wouldn't. I guess it was a caftan. Yeah, it was a caftan, I guess. But it looked very heavy. It looked like it just looked very heavy. It was velvet or whatever. Like when I think of caftans, I think beach. I think something you're gonna wear to the beach or wear around the house that's comfortable. That just didn't look like that to me. It was pretty. It was pretty, but it didn't look like that. And then Nina West, and Nina's was pretty as well. Hers was, again, it was like a shades of pinkish purple. And with silver accents, I guess, on it. And I thought it was really pretty. So for me, this was a good category because I think everybody, for the exception of Acaria, I think everybody bought something nice. Like I said, even though I wasn't crazy about sugars, it was still pretty. It just wasn't what I would think of when I think of a caftan. But again, technically, I guess it was a caftan. So the judges pretty much critiqued along the lines of what I said. The only thing was that Evie and Evie, I don't feel like she was throwing people. She was throwing people under the bus, but I feel like she didn't sideswipe anybody because she was clear that when they were talking, she said, I felt like we should have been more organized, more scripted, and my team wasn't necessarily agreeing with me or what have you. And so I don't feel like she threw them under the bus. You know what I'm saying? But of course Vanjie got very defensive about it, and Vanjie was like, well, we did plan this out and we did script this up. And she said, when we were practicing, we realized that the jokes we had were not going to be appropriate, and so we had to switch it up. And that's true. That is exactly what happened. The jokes were not appropriate, and they had to switch those jokes up. So on one hand, Evie was right, but on the other hand, Vanjie sort of had a point. And Vanjie's thing was, you notice what the judges been clocking me on. Why would you throw me under the bus like that? If you notice what the judges have been getting on me about. And then of course on the other side, their critique, they weren't crazy about Sugar's outfit, because she had a reveal too. I forgot to say that part. She had a reveal with her caftan that kind of gave you a little more of what you would think of a beachy type caftan. But I don't know. I don't feel like it didn't blend. Like it wasn't connected. Like the reveal wasn't really connected. I don't know. And their other critique was that Sugar just sort of got lost in her team. She didn't stand out. She just got lost, which has really been the critique all season with Sugar. Even other reviewers have said the same thing. Like, I just forget Sugar's there. I just forget she's there. And we're really at this part of the competition. Like, they were critiquing Silky on her outfit, and they were saying it was sort of sloppy, and her foundation wasn't right, and her hip pads were off, which is true. I find Silky a lot of times and I don't know if she's Russian. I don't know why, but I felt the same way that her stuff just wasn't on her right. And like Ruth said, we're getting to the point in the competition where we're splitting hairs, because there are no more obvious bottoms, unless you totally flub a challenge. There's not an obvious bottom. So we're splitting hairs, and those are the kind of things that will put you in the bottom. You not having your foundation right, and you not having yourself set up right, that'll put you in the bottom. So Nina West won. She was our top for the week, and she deserved to win. She should have won. For all the time she got robbed before, she got it this time. But the bottom was Sugar and Vanjie. And they had to lip sync. And the lip sync song was No More Drama by Mary J. Blige. Now let me tell y'all something. One of my favorite of all time Grammy performances was when Mary J. Blige performed this song on the Grammys. She didn't have no whole lot of polytechno explosions. She didn't have a bunch of people coming up and guest singing with her. You know how the Grammys give you all that? It wasn't all that. It was her in a gold outfit singing this song. And she explained later on she had just lost the Grammy. She had just lost to somebody. And so she was, and it all came out. And also what the song is about anyway. Honey. So my thing was, if you ain't giving me a Mary J. Blige performance of this song, I don't want to see it. And again, Vanjie was giving it to us, but I was distracted by the boobs. I was distracted by the fact that her caftan kept coming open, and I could see her chest, and it just did something for me, y'all. it just did something for me that, anyway, maybe I'm being picky, maybe I'm being petty, but Vanjie was singing that thing like she meant that thing. Okay, stuff was flying off. Vanjie was throwing stuff off. Vanjie sang that song like Mary J. Blige sang that song. You hear me? So when it was over with, Vanjie, Shantae, you stay, and Sugar has left the competition. I have not looked at Untucked yet, so I don't know what went down at Untucked. I don't know how it connects to anything we saw, so I apologize. I normally give y'all some Untucked, but I just haven't seen it yet. So that's where we are, you guys. So we are down to 6, and I think that the next couple of weeks are going to be brutal because, we're at the point now where, again, somebody got to go home. Like, I'm down to the point where I pretty much like everybody that's still in the competition, but somebody got to, they going to start. Because up until this point, the people who left, I wasn't really tripping over. I was like, okay. But now I'm looking at who's left, and I'm like, ooh. I'm going to have my little feelings hurt from week by week at this point. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.